Yeah, so for complete streets, I'm really excited about complete streets. And we need more options for people to get around the city. They're not just cars. And we need that both from like a carbon and climate perspective, but also just like a livability perspective. Like being able to like walk around, get on your bike, or, you know, like if you use a walker, use the sidewalk without like being worried about falling. Like when I worked for the state and I co-chaired the state's Hunger Elimination Task Force with Dr. Alexander Scott, like one of the things that kept coming up in that forum was transportation, and just like safely getting around. Like some people like were like, I live 2 blocks from a grocery store, but I'm fooded, like I can't get there from my house because it's too dangerous to walk and I don't drive. So it wasn't like they lacked the money or the whatever, but they lacked the ability to get there. And they're like, I can't walk there from here, even though it's only 2 blocks. Anyway, so all that to say, I'm very excited about it. And I think that it's true, like change is difficult. Like, and any one bike path isn't going to solve climate change, or any one bike path isn't going to be the thing that makes Providence more livable. But it's all the little things coming together that create like that network that will really help and will like really make this like a more walkable and mobile city. So I think also like Blackstone used to not have a bike path on it, and now most people don't even remember that it used to be 2 lanes. And it's beautiful. People, I'm out there like all times of day, and like there's people walking there. I go to a gym in East Providence, don't tell anyone. No, but in normal times, I actually haven't gone in a while, but so I'd go down Blackstone at like 5 a.m. There's people walking in the bike path, like people are using that space. But when that was proposed, that was like, you're gonna ruin the east side. And so I think it just takes people a little bit of time to like envision what it'll be like, and and like get accustomed to it.
So then pivoting over to like RIPTA and to the buses, we have a bus system right now that's a little bit under threat downtown.
Yeah.
Because of developers wanting to move more people out of Kennedy Plaza.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Kennedy Plaza in general and the way this is being done, the systems that are operating there? What are your thoughts on all that? Just, I know this isn't a question again, but feel free to jump off on that.
Okay. Well, I feel like a few things. So one, having a central bus hub like that is so important. Like so that people aren't like getting off the bus in one place and then having to like walk or whatever in inclement weather or whatever to get to their next situation. When we lived in San Francisco, I commuted almost exclusively by public transit, and it was so helpful that like the Muni, which is the bus, like stopped at the BART station, so you could easily and like seamlessly like transfer between things. Like that's not rocket science. That's like basic functioning. And so there's that, you know, like that's just incredibly important. And people who rely on RIPTA need to be able to like safely and easily get to work or get to wherever they're going, doctor's appointments, fun things downtown, whatever they're doing, and be treated with dignity and respect. I think also transportation planning has been done in across the state, but in like a pretty opaque way for many years, forever, but for a long time. And so people haven't really known how to like interact with that process. And I think that's all being kind of like revealed through this Kennedy Plaza effort, which is almost a positive of like people now are like learning about the TAC, the Transportation Advisory Council. They're learning about how some of these decisions get made, and they're starting to show up in those places. And so if nothing else, like I'm excited to see more advocacy around that, because a lot of this, the transportation money, a lot of the investments we make in transportation are just for like cars and gasoline powered cars. And people haven't really been involved in that process. It's been a pretty opaque situation. And so, like,
that's what Island RIDOT doesn't hold public hearings, has this black box money goes into. And by the way, I think something like $400 million of the opera funds are going into existing projects now that we normally would bond for. We're just going to, when you talk about things not being changed, we're talking about basically repairing bridges, and that'll do away with all that money. Yeah.
And I have to give a shout out to Liza Birkin, because I feel like she's been really like leading the charge on this, and like really kind of like you were saying earlier with like some things are so confusing to explain. She is like out there like explaining how this works, letting folks know where they can show up, like, and like kind of clearing away some of the smoke from the process, because it's confusing and very bureaucratic. And I don't necessarily think bureaucracy is bad. Like there could be some positive, like it exists sometimes for a reason. But like, you know, she's really bringing a lot of this to light in a way that I think will be really helpful, especially because, I mean, not to keep putting on my climate hat, but that's a hat I wear a lot, is, I mean, a lot of these investments are, it's like we are investing in fossil fuel infrastructure. Like, It's not a pipeline, so it's not as obvious, but it is a pipeline. Like when we build only for cars, we are like locking ourselves into decades of like fossil fuel infrastructure.